The New York Knicks have shown interest in trading for Isaiah Stewart, but no way they actually do this, as Leon Rose would have to pull off a lot of moves in order to make this happen to get Karl-Anthony Towns a backup center that mirrors him very well, and this could include trading Mitchell Robinson, whose health is a big question mark, and potentially they might not need to trade for a center when Mitchell Robinson's able to come back, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe. It helps me out a ton. 27% of people watching this are subscribed right now. Let's get to 11K and on, but let's jump in and talk about some New York Knicks basketball. The New York Knicks have shown interest in Isaiah Stewart for multiple months now, seeing Stewart as a guy who could play a vital role on this Knicks team. The man is a dog. He's not afraid of anyone. He's ready to scrap. He's ready to get in there and do the dirty work. And the Knicks could use a guy like that off the bench. Meanwhile, he mirrors what Karl-Anthony Towns does very well. If the New York Knicks would like to roll with that, the problem is trading for him will not be easy. The Detroit Pistons like Stewart a lot. He's only 23 years old, so that makes things difficult. And on top of that, they're going to need to figure out a way to get Mitchell Robinson involved probably in this trade, while also the Knicks like Mitchell Robinson and really don't feel a need to move him right now when his value's lower because of the injury. But jumping in, because both Ian Begley and James Edwards talked about this, Ian Begley mentioned that it's worth noting to keep an eye on the Detroit Pistons in New York's trade discussions with Detroit on potentially moving Randall there before they acquired Towns. The club expressed interest in both Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren. Begley doesn't think Detroit is eager to trade either of those guys, but at the same time, some with the Knicks view Duren and or Stewart as strong fits for the roster in a potential trade involving Julius Randle. Now, obviously, we know what happened with Julius Randle. He netted the Knicks Karl-Anthony Towns, who's been nothing short of an NBA superstar this season, putting up 25 and 14 with 3.5 assists, shooting 44% from three and 55% from the field. Karl-Anthony Towns has been downright disturbingly good, way better than anyone could have expected. He's been an MVP candidate, a top 10 player in the NBA this season, and is one of the main reasons why the New York Knicks look like one of the best teams in the NBA while having one of the best offenses in basketball. The Knicks are in perfect position to really just contend for the next 4 years while their core is under these contracts. Meanwhile, they're still going to need help outside. The bench is not exactly great right now. It has not been great all season. There's been some issues. Deuce McBride has been solid, but he did hit a slump before getting injured. Meanwhile, Cameron Payne has been all right. Landry Shamet is new to the roster, and then Precious Achiuwa, though being undersized and more of a power forward, has held it down decently as the premier backup center. The New York Knicks are in a very good position right now. They just need to solidify this roster a little bit more. And a guy like Isaiah Stewart could help the Knicks get this done. Leon Rose is going to have to figure out a way to make a trade for him, though, while the Pistons really like him. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks, well, they'd have to trade Mitchell Robinson. I don't think the Knicks want to trade Mitchell Robinson. What seems evidently clear is the Knicks want to keep Robinson around for injuries. And contract-wise, the only thing that one can really do is make a move like this, where the Knicks net Stewart and some second-round picks in exchange for Robinson and Jericho Sims. But the fact remains, do either of these teams, do they get better with this trade? I mean, the Knicks trade away a defensive stalwart and one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA, maybe the best offensive rebounder in the NBA, for a guy who's a bit smaller as a center, but does put up some good numbers. Now, here's where things get interesting. James Edwards mentioned, and he covered the Pistons before he covered the Knicks. He said, I keep going back to the Detroit Pistons. Isaiah Stewart is a perfect fit for this roster. Stewart has been one of the league's best rim protectors this season. He should be mentioned in conversations, even if only briefly, for Defensive Player of the Year when you factor in his defensive impact at the rim, ability to guard in space, and Detroit's numbers when he's on the floor versus off. Furthermore, Stewart is only 23 years old and just started a 4-year contract this season. In adding him, New York would address a need in the short term while having a young, proven player that can grow with this team in the future. Now, here's why I'm very interested by this. As I said, I don't think the Knicks are going to trade Mitchell Robinson over this season. I think it's highly unlikely. However, I do think they're going to trade Mitchell Robinson in the offseason. Mitch has this year and then next year left on his Knicks contract, And the Knicks are going to have to re-sign Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart in the same year that Mitchell Robinson becomes a free agent, and both of them will understandably get preference or priority over Robinson. Robinson will most likely be left to sign with a new team, and the Knicks, knowing that Robinson is most likely going to be leaving in free agency, they're most likely going to trade him a year prior because it makes the most sense for everyone involved to move on from Mitchell Robinson. And if you trade him for Isaiah Stewart, you then get a guy who's under a 4-year contract and then fits that 4-year window the Knicks have perfectly with guys like OG Anunoby, Jalen Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, and then Isaiah Stewart, all being free agents in the same year when that window finally closes for the New York Knicks to try to win an NBA Finals. It's also insane the Knicks have a 4-year window to win the championship. I mean, I don't remember this ever being a thing in my lifetime. My 23 years, there's never been this big window to win like they have now, which is awesome as a side note. But with the Knicks knowing that they're going to trade Mitchell Robinson eventually, would it make some sense to trade for Isaiah Stewart now? I think the answer is basically purely, is Robinson going to be able to come back and have an impact? Because if the answer is yes, then I would say keep Mitchell Robinson. He's better than Isaiah Stewart. He's a better defender. He's a better rebounder. He fits what the Knicks need better. Stewart scores better, and the Knicks could use that jolt of scoring out of a bigger guy. But at the same time, when you have Karl Anthony Towns, you don't desperately need front court scoring from too many other pieces, especially the way Mikal Bridges is playing, same as OG Anunoby, who have both been having very good seasons. I mean, OG's having the best season of his career, along with Towns and Josh Hart. So you're having guys who are really performing well. You don't necessarily need bench scoring from a big man per se. When you have Karl Anthony Towns, he scores enough for 2 big men. You need the defense. You need the rim protection. And yes, Stewart's a great rim protector, so it would work. But Mitchell Robinson is just a better defender than Isaiah Stewart, and he's also a better rebounder. And it just feels like the Knicks could use that more than Stewart. However, you also keep looking at what Edwards mentions, and he said that Stewart would fit tremendously as Towns' backup, or if Tibbs wanted to play the two together, they do work. Stewart can defend 4s or 5s. Offensively, he shot more than 38% from 3 last season, playing primarily as the 4 next to Duren. In adding Stewart, Towns could still play the 5 on offense, while Stewart can help defend 5s on defense. Sticking Karl Anthony Towns on a hidden guy where you could hide Towns, kind of let him rest on the defensive end, which I think is a good idea. Rest Cat on the defensive end. He's not a great defender to begin with. He's better on the perimeter for some reason. So have him guard some stretch 4, have him sit there, and have Stewart handle the interior scoring, while you also have a much better fit on offense than you would with Mitchell Robinson. That is the upside to this. We're trying to look at both sides on this channel, go both ways. Edwards has a very good point on this. It does make the Knicks it won't hinder the Knicks offense the way that Mitchell Robinson might. He also might not. Mitch's offensive rebounding is going to create way more second chance possessions than the Knicks have had all season long. And there's no one who you can replace Mitchell Robinson's offensive rebounding with except for Steven Adams. Maybe Sabonis, who's obviously not going to the Knicks, despite the fact that Sabonis will be traded pretty soon. He's not going to the Knicks. But for Mitchell Robinson's price, I mean, he's so good at what he does, I feel like you should just roll with that. I think Robinson is the perfect fit for this New York Knicks team, and it's just a matter of him coming back and being healthy. This is something that James Edwards also highlighted, which I do have to say, it's not that he's anti-Mitchell Robinson, so I don't want people to get the wrong idea from me. No, he also said that he believes fully that Mitchell Robinson is the perfect piece for this team as well, which I agree with. I think most Knicks fans understand that what the Knicks are missing is Mitchell Robinson, and I think once Mitch comes back, it'll be evident why the New York Knicks need to keep Mitchell Robinson around. Now, taking a look at Stewart's numbers, this season he's not having a great year. He's putting up 6 points and 6 rebounds per game with 2 assists. He's only shooting 28% from 3 this year and 54% from the field. I don't think the Knicks should trade for a guy who just signed a big contract and now instantly is like having a much worse season than he did last season. I think that's very worrisome. Meanwhile, you can just wait on Mitchell Robinson, and also you still have Precious Achiuwa, who can hold things down, is shooting better than Stewart, is a very good defender as well on both levels. It just makes sense for the Knicks to not make this move. I do see the point in being interested in Stewart, and I don't think it's wrong for the Knicks to show interest in him. I just think it's not the trade the Knicks need to make. Meanwhile, they should look somewhere for more of a small forward, power forward off the bench. You could stagger the minutes of Mikal and OG and Josh Hart better, but a better way to even do that is just to get some sort of small forward or power forward. Maybe it's TJ Warren eventually. I could see that being a likely answer to this and why the Knicks don't feel like a need to rush into that. But we will see what the Knicks do, and we will report on it right when it happens. So make sure to subscribe to Knicks Digest. Like this video. Turn on post notifications. Have a great day. If this video is lower quality and the videos over the last day or two have been, I'm really sick right now. I'm struggling. You can definitely hear it in my voice. I sound like all hell. But I hope you guys enjoyed anyway. Have a great day, and go Knicks. Wow, my eyes look terrible.